All right, welcome in, welcome in. Just realized I'm in the dark, so I should probably pop a pop a light
Yeah,
on
yeah.
here.
Let there be light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome in, everyone. Dynasty and Beers. I don't even know what episode we're on.
A
Kind of
million.
lost track recently. But we've done quite a few of these now. I think we're at least into like the 20s or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will talk about the past week of the NFL season. Definitely a pretty crazy week. Definitely had a lot of different things happening. I'm not even sure where you want to start, Blake, but I mean, I feel like something that I'm dealing with right now is just kind of managing like injuries and bye weeks, especially as it's like coming down to the wire for like, especially teams that are kind of like on the fringe, that are like around 500, maybe a game over, maybe a game under. And in some cases, that you want to make a push and compete. You feel like your team is good enough. Maybe it's had a little bit of bad luck, but you got to overcome some injuries here. So I've definitely been doing some wheeling and dealing today. Yeah, pretty much since the weekend happened. And yeah, I've definitely pulled off some dynasty trades that we
Okay.
could talk about. But I don't know. Where do you want to start?
Yeah. Let's just start talking about some general stuff as we let people come in. By the way, KO Kingdom's the first one in here, so
Hey,
welcome back,
welcome.
KO. How are things been? And KO, I believe. Did you join the Discord, KO? Let us know, because if you didn't, I could get you a link if you were interested, because I believe you signed up for the listener league there. So, uh, it maybe has been a minute or something since you've been back. So just let us know there, and let us know if you want us to talk about anything. But as you're the first one in here,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was kind of just want to talk about just like general what's going on, because it's funny that you say you've been really struggling with the bye weeks and
Injuries.
injuries. That's really not been the case for me. I mean, I had a couple Tucker Crafts go down, um, a couple guys here and there, but it's kind and some bye weeks. But it's
Mhm.
like for every bye week I have like I bought a Brissett, or I had Davis
Yeah.
Mills on my bench, and it's been going really well. So even though I've
Yeah, I
dealt
mean,
with
I
all
feel like for the most part, like, I mean, I typically have a good amount of depth on my team. So
Mhm.
in some ways, I sometimes like look forward to the bye weeks usually because it's like,
Yeah,
oh, good, it'll be
get to
like
use this
easier
guy.
lineup decisions and can make use of these guys
Yeah,
that have just been like scoring points on my bench and everything like that. But I feel like this week is almost like the first time or maybe the worst time that I'm looking at certain lineups for these teams that are kind of around 500, like I said,
hmm
and just thinking like, oh man, like I need to either like make a trade and like get some help
yeah,
because like even the waiver wire isn't enough. Even though it's like a decent week for waivers, but of course it's always tougher in dynasty with like the deeper team sizes and
yeah.
everything like that.
Although there has
So
been there's kind of been some startable guys like on waivers coming in. You and I started Mac Hollins, but it's very very difficult.
yeah, I mean last week was pretty good, and like I like Greg Dortch, that
Yeah,
worked
nice.
out well. So yeah, and like I mean this week is a pretty good week for waivers, although it is uncertain for like a lot of
Yeah,
guys. Like okay, is Emmanuel Wilson going to start? Is who's the other one? I think there was like another running back situation.
Cards is
But yeah,
always up in there and all that.
yeah, exactly. So sometimes you don't know exactly what you're going to get. Like, even like Sean Tucker, although of course, like he's
Yeah,
owned in most dynasty leagues. So of course, like waivers are always going to be like more relevant for redraft. But obviously, like you and I mostly play dynasty. And I feel like for that, this is like the first week where between the combination of injuries and bye weeks, I'm like, oh
hmm
man, like I need to make some deals if I want to stay alive this week.
interesting. Yeah, because like my leagues have been going very strange. And by the way, I completely missed the comment. Also, I just completely forgot to acknowledge it from Kingdom. He said Bears Steelers. So let's answer that quick there if I
Okay,
continue.
yeah, absolutely.
Come on, Aaron Rodgers has a broken hand. You got to go with the Bears there, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, yeah, I feel like I usually say Bears, and so I don't know if I just do that because like I feel like that's what KO Kingdom wants me to say. But
And he's a Bears fan.
yeah, exactly. He's
Yeah,
a Bears fan, but hey, we always keep it
yeah.
real on this channel.
I do like
And
Bears.
where's the game being played?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay, we can look at that. I don't know if it makes too much of a difference, but I don't know. Like, do you feel like is Aaron Rodgers going to like tough it out, or do you think he's going to miss the game?
I'm expecting him to play. Uh,
That's what I'm kind of getting those vibes right
Dude,
now.
this
So
might be one of his last games ever. I think like unless his wrist is like literally he can't use it, it's on his
yeah.
non-throwing it. Like
Oh, okay,
so
gotcha.
I think he'll figure it out. I don't know if KO has
Yeah.
any information on that, but
Yeah. I think I'll take the Bears. I don't know where the game's being played. I could look it up real quick, but yeah. I mean, banged up Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, Steelers
Mhm.
don't feel all that inspiring. So yeah, I think the Bears will take this one.
Yeah. Well, hopefully for KO, he's putting the bear down, the bear down emoji. It's the first time I've seen that in a minute. The bear down. The Okay, what were we? We're talking about the bye weeks and the injuries
Yeah,
and
kind of just like getting through this week and making deals more as like a necessity as
yeah.
opposed to like luxury.
You know what's so interesting? I was just looking through my leagues. It is all or nothing in my leagues. It is insane. I am in currently. It's been up and down, but and I think I have a league where basically I'm like a tiebreaker or like one. I have more points, but a game out. And it's like a median, so I can really make it back.
Right.
Like 6 leagues, I got a first round buy in right now, and things
Oh,
are
wow.
going amazing. All these they have whatever some of the hottest players on it. No JT, of course, but
Right.
everyone
That's
but
the one.
JT.
Yeah.
And so things are awesome. So in those ones, I don't really have to worry, and I seem to have depth. Most of these ones,
Mhm.
a couple of my teams have already blown up. They're just like toast, and I rebuilt them or whatever, selling them off. I actually just did that with a team, and I don't really have any teams in the middle. The one team I can think of in the middle right now is the Grease Bowl, where my team's kind of just been up and down all year. It's not been very good, but I have a bunch of
Right.
good players, and I'm on like a 7 game win streak right now. So
Yeah.
that's really like my one, and I just lost Jamar Chase, so
Yeah.
I can that would probably be the one league I'm kind of in that situation, but at the same time I'm like I don't know what can I even do. I don't have like any draft picks. Like for
Yeah.
this year, I kind of just gotta hope for the best, I think, and unless I can trade something off my bench. So I'm kind of in the opposite situation. And when I do have these bye
Right.
weeks, I've kind of had these really lucky fillers in, especially with Davis Mills and Jacoby Brissett and guys like that. So it's interesting how I've
Okay.
kind of
So
been.
but that is a good example though, because that's another thing. In addition to the injuries, we got
Yep.
Jamar Chase suspended out of nowhere for a game, and so yeah, what player are you filling in that spot with?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have to fill in with AJ Brown, who I just traded for in there, and we were just talking about on the phone. Brian Thomas.
You just traded for AJ Brown and Greaseball?
And I sent away. I traded for James Cook and AJ Brown and Tajay Spears.
That's right.
And then I gave away a late first and Torrey Horton and Brian Thomas.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
that was such a weird.
I think that was a good deal. I mean, yeah, I mean, we were
Yeah.
talking about Brian Thomas a bit before the stream, and just kind of like it's hard to know exactly what to do with him. I mean, I do think he's a decent buy low for rebuilders, but at like the same time, I don't know if I feel like real inspired about it, and not just because it's been a rough season. Like
Mhm.
I think that'd be okay if it was just due to injury or whatever, but. He's kind of probably going back into the same situation next year with like Trevor Lawrence and
Yeah.
everything. So just doesn't like feel great from that perspective. But
Yeah.
yeah, I actually just moved to Brian Thomas today and got Kenneth Walker and David Montgomery from our buddy Joey Bradley. So yeah, I mean, and that was one where I mean I don't know. I'd be interested to hear like what the chat thinks about that. It's a 12-team start 11 dynasty. Full PPR, super flex, 1.0 tight end premium. And I mean, it's definitely a long way from where Brian Thomas' value was like in the offseason. But,
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes you got to sell a little low. And that was definitely an example of a trade where, I mean, I would have been starting like Daniel Bellinger and, like, Calvin Austin. I mean, I would have been starting such gross players this week. So it just had to be done. Even if I felt like I was losing a tiny bit of value, I still felt like that was pretty fair under the current circumstances.
Yeah, I like honestly. There's a couple players in Dynasty right now where I'd say their price is like, we could have a general idea of where they should be, but is it right? Like I don't. Is it or is it way off? And for good or bad, like Brian
Yeah.
Thomas right now, I mean, yeah, I had. I think depending on who you ask, it could be all over the place.
Right, right.
Whether it's an owner of Brian Thomas or not, especially.
Yes. Yes.
And honestly, as a Brian Thomas owner, we were just talking about that trade. Like, I was kind of just looking at it as I traded him for James Cook, and I was like, well, James Cook's scoring points right now. So yeah, it's you were just talking about your deal with K9. I think K9's also one of those players. I have no idea exactly where to value him. You kind of know it if you see it in a trade, whether he's worth that or not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players like that, and I do what I would say is if you were gonna make a deal like what you just did, let it be with one of those players where you're like, okay, I don't know if I have any confidence, especially like Brian Thomas. He's like hurt and he's playing terribly, and Trevor Lawrence
Right.
is not playing particularly well or helping him out. So it's like, okay, well, I can't expect anything from them this season. I'm like, you never know, they could turn it around. I'm not
Right.
expecting it. Where if you have more confidence in K9 doing it, perfect. You get help there at running back, and you get Montgomery.
Yeah.
Maybe K9 in the next season is just better than than what's
Yeah.
new. You got the free
It's
rental.
possible.
Yeah, you got the free
Yeah.
rental this year. You got David Montgomery.
Yeah.
Though I think those deals in Dynasty are pretty interesting because you don't see those players get traded a lot because people are just hanging on, and we actually have both just traded Brian Thomas, and sometimes, again, I would actually say it could be pretty likely that Brian Thomas just eventually ends up being like one of our a clear buy or bounce back player. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like
Possible.
it's very possible, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And I think it's better to sometimes get off these players. There was a couple examples in recent memory of like guys that kind of have fit this Brian Thomas arc, and they're not really good anymore. So especially with how far it's dropped off. So yeah, I would buy him.
And sometimes you just have to like do what you have to do to get through the week,
Yeah.
like get through this stretch where you're trying to sneak into the playoffs or secure that last spot. And I mean, especially when you play in a portfolio. I mean, we have a decent amount of money like invested in these dozen or so leagues that we're in, and especially like if you have like a few other leagues where you've had some bad luck or maybe you made some bad decisions and you have some teams that you were expecting to contend that are now like rebuilding, and it's like, okay, well, like that motivates you even more. Like like in this league where I did the trade for K9. I'm 5-6 and feel like even despite the injuries and everything that the team's better than that.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like I'm not letting this team miss the playoffs too. So you just gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's just different league to league, especially. Like honestly, that is really true. Just because not only the people you're playing with, or like what your team is, you have different draft picks. Honestly, really varies from league to league. Like there was a league where maybe I wouldn't want to do that deal as you, but then like you were just saying how the season's been going and you think this team can make it. And on a league like that, I might be very like happy to get that deal done. It's
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was like, I mean, I think I originally proposed that deal, but I'd also wanted like 2/3 on top, and that was probably a bit of me like clinging to Brian Thomas's old value a little bit, just
you
being
gotta
like
give
what
it
I
a
could
try.
out there. I had to give it a try, exactly. But when he eventually countered without the thirds, it was like, okay, really these two running backs are the main thing I wanted. So like I was pretty happy to receive it and just hit accept on it. And another thing to consider is that in this particular league, I mean, it's kind of been up and down with like how easy it is to make trades. Historically it's been hard, but then there was sort of a period where we brought in like Joey and another guy, and then like all of a sudden trades were like flying left and right. But now it's kind of like gone back to like it being hard to make trades for whatever reason. So it's just like, hey, like sometimes you just got to take the bird in the hand here.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like if you're in a league like that, yeah, I mean, that's all you can get. You gotta do it. Like Reese Bowl again. There's been a lot of contenders in there. It's been hard to make a deal. A team finally is like selling off competing assets. I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, just like you. Somehow I'm not even in playoffs at 7-4. That's just how that league has went there. I might not even make playoffs. I'm not even like counting on it in there. But I got to give myself a shot now that I'm on like a 7-game win streak. So I was talking to that manager back and forth a lot, and I was like, I'm not paying. He wanted Igbuka basically to swap Burrow and Lamar, and now Burrow is also, by the way, he's actually about to return somehow. They opened up his 21-day window I saw today. I somehow talked him off that. We're like, okay, we can just forget Lamar, man. Like let's scrap that. I'll keep Joe Flacco. And I ended up, we were so far off from Brian Thomas to begin with, but somehow when we took Lamar out of the equation, things were actually adding up. And he was like, I was like, it's a pretty fair deal. Honestly, if I'm on his side, I don't want A.J. Brown if I'm a rebuilder. I'll take my chances on Brian Thomas. So it was kind of an interesting deal because in the end, it was one of those ones where we're kind of both like shipping an asset that is not, let's say, I have just about no trade demand right now,
Right.
and
You know what's interesting though? I mean, sorry to interrupt you. I'll
yeah,
let you finish your point. But with Brian Thomas, like in theory, like there's no real there. You wouldn't think there'd be much trade demand, but there kind of is just from rebuilders because it
yeah,
seems like it's just such an obvious buy as a rebuilder, regardless of whether it works out or not. And
yeah.
I'm sure even some of the people that have some of the rebuilders that have bought Brian Thomas like probably don't even feel great about it.
Yeah.
I kind of think
I
that's
did
how
that.
like yeah, exactly. And I've done it too, and I think that's how Joey felt making the deal based on the conversation with him. But I still feel like rebuilders are willing to do it just because it makes so much sense. It's like if you're right, it could be a huge win if he goes back to what he was his rookie season at some point. And also, Joey gets the points off his roster, of Montgomery and Kenneth Walker, so that helps him get higher first, higher second, et cetera. And also, he might be thinking, okay, maybe I can use Brian Thomas, add something to him, and turn him into a receiver that I actually do believe in better long term. You know what I mean? And it still feels like Brian Thomas, like, even though, his value and name brand is definitely taking a hit, there's still some of that like old value kind of like built in there where people can still kind of tell themselves a story. So I could kind of see, if it hasn't happened already, I could kind of see Brian Thomas being this name that sort of just gets like passed around like, a dozen different times or half a dozen times, over the next few months from people just thinking like, okay, like I'll take him and then I'll flip him to someone else for something I want. And he just ends up getting passed around the league.
Yeah, when you said that, you cued, there was like a player in mind I had of that, but that's exactly right. It's funny because like his name value, like, yeah, exactly what you said. Like, there is trade demand for him, but it's only because he's Brian Thomas, and we just saw what he did as a rookie, and he's hurt and all these things. But the funny thing is, like, there's no guarantee he's like who we thought he was, or even technically remotely that. I mean, Hunter, Travis Hunter's only going to get better, so that'll be interesting as well. Maybe they even draft someone, or they just traded for Jacoby Myers. Does he stick around? I would assume not, but.
You know what Brian Thomas is? He's like that like really famous actor that was like really hot for like a few years, and then like something happened and he's kind of like washed out, and like he hasn't like been in a movie in like 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But then he's like trying to make a comeback, and then you randomly see him in some like new movie or TV show. It's like, oh yeah, remember that guy? Like whatever happened to him? It's like he still has like the name brand value. It's like, oh yeah, like everyone knows who that is. It's like, oh yeah, he used to, be awesome, but it's like, what is he now? Is it, he might make a successful comeback, he might not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're reminding me like John Travolta or something. He comes back
like
into Pulp Fiction, something like that.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
You know what? It's kind of reminding me of like, again, I'm just going off the vibe. I would not be surprised if he bounces back and is in the conversation with Garrett Wilson and all those guys. Obviously, he's very talented. But there's just been so much going wrong there that like I wouldn't be surprised. This is pretty bad. I don't want to even like say this out loud, but like he might be like Kyle Pitts of like receivers or something like that, or like Evan Ingram or something. And it doesn't mean he's useless. Like he's talented and he's got the name value that could cling on to him being valued for a very long time. But he might not be I would say like a true guy you actually need to own on your fantasy team, especially at that price. He could kind of be a pretty big ADV guy over the next amount of time, next season or two.
But really, it's ADV that's holding up his value right now because like there's really like zero production value. There's very little hope for the rest of the season, realistically.
So I mean, it's tough with ADV, right? And for people watching that don't know, we're talking about like artificial dynasty value. The thing is, like he's talented, so like.
That's true. I guess, yeah. I'm not saying he's like all flash and no substance. Yeah, there is real talent there, but blame it on the situation or injury or whatever, it's really hard to expect any production at all until like next season. I mean, realistically.
That's how it feels, yeah. That's how it feels, yeah, because we don't know the injury and all the stuff. And the funniest thing is like they're, when things start to feel this way, it doesn't mean he can't just bounce back. Like, I mean, he could be active this week and just like
When you
play
least
well.
expect it, oh man, 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Where the heck did that come from?
Because
You never know.
yeah, because we know he's capable of that. So I do think he's like really fairly priced. Because I do think there is a
Probably.
chance
Yeah.
he does not produce and pay off what you're paying, because you're still paying over a first or something for him in something, some kind of range in there. It's pretty muddy right now, right?
Because I mean, call like Kenneth Walker, probably like what, like an early second or so, give or take, and then Montgomery's like mid to late second, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, combine them together, worth more than a first.
Yeah, the one thing I like about a deal like that though is like as long as you feel confident you're going to get more production this season.
Yeah.
Again, who's to say that your side could, because you never know. Maybe Kenneth Walker's on the Chiefs or something next year, who the hell knows? So he's a talented enough player to like be able to be more valuable than it's not like you traded him for like Tez Johnson and a 27-second and David Montgomery or something.
I feel like there's like a very high chance that it's probably like a 90% chance that I improve my production this season, at least between the two players and what they'll add to my lineup on a weekly basis. And then going into next season, even if you were to argue, okay, maybe you'd rather prefer Brian Thomas over that pair of running backs, by the offseason. But even still, at that point, there still might be like a 40% chance that I win in the long term. So like overall, it feels pretty good.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how I want to think about things. Like, it's hard to each person, each owner will have different evaluations or
percentages. Yeah, exactly. I'm just making up numbers here. I mean, I'm not saying it's that, but even if it's only like a 30% chance, it's like, okay, well, I really helped myself this season.
Yeah.
Maybe that even helped me win a championship and win some money, in which case it was already worth it. And yeah, even if it's only like a 1 in 3 chance I win the long term, well, what if I beat the odds and that happens? Then I like really the trade.
And I would say it's higher than 30%, because I think a lot of times we only think about either what's happening right now, or we think about a very like the future in general as a vagueness. Like, I'd rather have this guy over that guy. Well, it's like, okay, like maybe Brian Thomas is like super obvious guy you want to own when we look back in 4 years. But at the beginning of next year, are we going to be like, what if K9's scoring more points literally week 1? If K9's scoring more points week 1, he's probably worth more.
Yeah, imagine he signs like a massive contract with the Chiefs, like he's going to be their workhorse. Wheels up for Kenneth Walker, and Brian Thomas is, coming off an awful season. Let's say it really didn't get any better down the stretch, and he's going back into the exact same situation with the same quarterback, the same coaches. It's just going to feel like, man, like I might just rather have Kenneth Walker right now.
No, exactly. And I know a lot of people, especially, when we talk with Jacob on here, he's more concerned about just the outcome in the future, and I do care about that. But when we're talking about a trade like this, especially where you need some production now, the reason I don't hate it, especially, Joey owns him. Literally, this offseason, you could go get Brian Thomas back if you're right and he doesn't turn it around. And maybe K9 actually just surpasses him right now this season, because if he does produce. And number two, again, we were talking about the Chiefs thing. It just takes a couple weeks. I mean, let's think back to September. How many... Dude, Quentin Johnston, skyrocketing in value. Any player can do it. But, like, if Quentin Johnston can do it, if J.K. Dobbins can do it, whatever, like, obviously K9 can do it for a couple weeks and give you a window to, like, then sell out and ultimately get Brian Thomas back or a player like that. There's plenty of opportunity. So I was thinking this in my mind. I'm like, if Jacob heard this conversation, I think he would, like, I don't know what he thinks about Kenneth Walker. I think he would, like, blow, like, like, I don't know, he'd, like, blow up, like, what are you guys talking about, Brian Thomas? But, I don't know, sometimes we know he's talented. I mean, that's why he has the value in the first place. Like, it's already built in. I do think it's one of those savvy deals where you could benefit now. Maybe you could just be right and just have the better side for the future. But there's going to be windows to do it, and not even to mention that you got David Montgomery in there. What if he starts hot next year? Whatever. There's plenty of outcomes. I just like that you didn't give up a second asset, and I think that's really important, not to give up like a pick or a fun player in that deal.
Exactly, because I almost like offered like 2 seconds for the pair of running backs, and both of them would have been like mid. I guess they could have kind of ended up anywhere because I mean, with my record being 5-6, like okay, if my team keeps going south, maybe it ends up closer to an early pick. But I don't know. It just kind of felt better to move off a player rather than like move off the picks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was happy to keep all my picks intact in that trade. Also, I know we don't have like this is probably not going to be like a crazy long stream today. So I want to make sure we kind of like cover some certain topics. Should we talk about some of the noteworthy and unexpected performances that we saw this week? I mean, I'm thinking of like Bryce Young coming out of nowhere for like a game of his career. I'm thinking of Tootin kind of having a little breakout that was then cut a little short by an injury. We also had disappointment from RJ Harvey, and we had the reemergence of frickin' Jaleel McLaughlin, which we sort of joked about in the last stream as a possibility, but
someone called him out.
I really didn't think it was actually going to happen.
Yeah, someone called him out.
And Michael Wilson too. We got to talk about Michael Wilson
and Tet, of course, brought along with Bryce
and Brissett. It continues to be like a QB1. Like I mean, it's just insane. So
yeah,
but go ahead.
I was like, well, Tet with. I mean, it's so funny because
Tet had his breakout. Yeah,
we pretty much just named the only people that matter other than like Josh Allen and Bijan again. They're really, I mean, this is, no one's. We're probably gonna get torched by someone on Saturday night because any sit advice you should have done the opposite of this past week.
I don't know if it was that bad, but yeah, there were definitely a few bad calls there.
Dude, genuinely, I could come up with a list of like Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, insert RB1 that disappointed. Michael Wilson outscored them all. Tet outscored them all. I mean, it was so backwards. There was really only a couple players that mattered.
I mean, thankfully, I'm pretty sure no one asked us about Michael Wilson, so I'm pretty sure we never said anyone sit Michael Wilson, but I mean, unless he was like listed in a list of like 8 receivers, and it's like okay, start you
Someone gave us one where Tet was an obvious sit against.
I do remember that, but like
he even into our defense, he even suggested it because it was an obvious sit. You know what I mean? And one thing you could argue was Zay Flowers, but I'm pretty sure Zay Flowers with Lamar Jackson feels a lot better than the worst matchup. So that's just how it is, and I feel bad for like not us, but like whatever Josh and Hayden, like all these people like with massive audience. People can be. They're probably getting like torched for like, why didn't you tell me to start Michael Wilson over a pretty good play like Quentin Johnston or something had a good matchup and he had 0 points.
Hey, by the way, we got Cooper in here. He says still considering your Keenan Allen offer to me.
Okay.
After a 16-hour shift, I might be crazy enough to take it.
It's not that. Come on, it's not that bad. I'm pretty sure there's like 27 pick in it, but I was looking around. I was looking who has like basically just like a third, for Keenan Allen and like just either toss me in like a future fourth or something like that, or just like a Greg Dortch type. Because I actually have a lot of depth in there, and I saw that Cooper could need some whatever he could use like a flex play or something.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, Keenan Allen. I mean, he's definitely just been trending down, but at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked if he like just randomly trends up at some point here late in the season when you least expect it. I mean, we kind of saw that with the Bears last year, where he just got like red hot late in the season.
That's right, yeah.
And there wasn't even, I don't know, necessarily like a ton of rhyme or reason to it. It was just like all of a sudden, like Keenan Allen's a thing again. So you just never know when all of a sudden he just turns into that like PPR scam again. So even though he doesn't feel like super exciting because his usage and production has been trending down, but all it takes is just like I don't know, one injury or I don't know, since there's not even like a specific reason. I could just keep getting hot again.
Pretty much, like I actually just checked back to see how he was doing this week, and he jumped back up to 75% of snaps. And
did he? Wow.
Yeah, and I think which means like he probably played like most of the passing set because they take him out on those heavy.
They were down in the game. That probably did help a bit. So maybe he's a little game script dependent, but it still just goes to show you that I think the upside with him is still there, even if he's kind of a little hot and cold.
Yeah, basically, if you have a start sit, are they playing the worst team in the league? Like maybe you could then sit them at that point or something. But if they're going to be in a competitive game, it feels like you would want them. I don't know that they've been in. They had that domination with the Vikings in short weeks, so it kind of feels like I don't know, like a variation of what's going on with Puka right now for different reasons, like
Right.
of situation. Because I see a lot of stuff on Puka. You mentioned it too, and like I'm personally like not really worried at all. But I
Mhm.
think part of the reason they're doing it is because Puka is just hurt. Like they're running at
Right.
this extra 13 personnel because Puka's hurt. They're not having him as the one receiver because he's hurt. And not only that, they're doing that because they're up in these games so big every week.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's happening. So you can't like ignore it.
Yeah.
People could be worried about it, but the
Oh, we also had just came to mind Penix being put on IR.
that's right, dude.
I
So
think
many,
that has a pretty big impact. Oh, and London got hurt. Like he
so
might not
many
be
injuries.
back in a while. So yeah, just like a ton of injuries. So that's why I
Yeah.
feel like I really have been feeling this week and
Yep.
really having to make some deals to make up for it. But how do you think that this affects Bijan and I mean even I mean London is such a huge loss. I mean I guess Pitts could benefit. I guess maybe Mooney, although
Yeah.
he's injured too and he feels so gross right now.
Yeah, he feels gross, but I mean, I don't know what's going on with Mooney. The one thing is interesting to me with Mooney, and I think I sent a couple offers out. I have so much depth in listener league, so I've been looking to see if anyone wants like Keenan Allen or Mooney kind of thing. Or I was looking around today, but Mooney kind of strikes me as like a Michael Wilson possibility. I know he's been awful. Michael Wilson hasn't done anything of note recently. We learned that okay, Mooney broke his collarbone. Is it guaranteed? Absolutely not. But Kirk Cousins and Mooney had a really good connection. We've actually never seen Michael Penix and Darnell Mooney have a good game, like ever, because they haven't had one this year and they didn't have one in their couple starts last year. So
Yeah, that's true.
It kind of does interest me that like if Mooney. By the way, I don't even know what's going on with his targets. Like the targets are there sometimes.
Right. They are.
I don't know what's going on in between there. I do think if Cousins goes in there, you could kind of see this crazy. We know Mooney can put up big games, so
Yeah.
I've kept thinking of him as like kind of a buy low. I am pretty interested in Mooney for like redraft things like that, in a Michael Wilson-y kind of way. I don't want to just like completely write him off.
Right.
If London misses a couple of weeks, I would not be shocked if Mooney came in there and had 20 points. There's
Yeah.
been Vidal got hurt. That doesn't really matter. He's on bye week. Hampton's coming back.
Right.
It's a long list.
Yeah, and then was it Trey Benson? Might be coming back soon. And heck,
Yeah.
even like Jaden Reed. So I feel like there are just a lot of moving parts right now with like players getting injured, suspended, and then even like quarterbacks getting injured, which like affects the weapons, of course. And then you have other players that are about to like come back from injury. So I feel like there's just like a ton of moving parts right now. And yeah, it really makes things kind of crazy for like managing your rosters. But yeah, what I was going to say about the thing I'm worried about with Cousins is, I mean, I didn't watch him play in the game at all, so I can't like comment on, from like, my actual firsthand experience watching him. But it seems like everyone that I hear talking about Cousins is just saying like how his arm strength is just shot. And I mean, it definitely makes me concerned for that Falcons offense. I mean, I think the biggest fear would be that it affects Bijan negatively. Not that I think it's something you got to like panic over, but
Yeah.
I mean, as we enter this like crucial stretch of games and the fantasy playoffs around the corner, maybe it could be a consideration of like how do I turn Bijan into like a Gibbs or A-Chain or CMC or someone like that. I mean, I'm not saying you have to like panic sell him or anything like that, but it does make me a little concerned because like I don't know if it's just a coincidence. I mean, it's a 1-game sample, but in that 1 game Cousins started recently against the Dolphins, which should have been an amazing matchup, dream matchup for Bijan, Bijan had like his worst game of the season. So it does make me a tiny bit concerned about Bijan.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of would be, worried too. I wonder how the receiving usage will go because that's been a big reason why Bijan's been so good. And that was basically like for legendary upside there, Pat Kerrane. Like he really didn't like Bijan as like compared to the other guys like Gibbs and CMC as a legendary running back unless he got elite volume, which has been kind of coming to fruition. And I don't know. I mean, I know Cousins can check it down on running backs and stuff. Was he? I don't know. I mean, if he used him that much, if he used Bijan that much last year, which maybe he was even better last year than he'll be this year. I mean, he's getting up there. Yeah, are we looking at what Bijan was kind of doing at some point last year? I know he was kind of slow to start and heated up. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I would say it's probably not a positive thing for Bijan, for heating up.
It doesn't feel like it. Although, I mean, that is a good point that Cousins did start most of the games for the Falcons last year. And although Bijan started a little slow, I mean, it didn't take him it wasn't that long before he got going. What was it, like week 5 or so, that he pretty much from like then to the rest of the season, he was awesome. So yeah, that, I think that is a good reminder of that.
Yeah, so I don't know that it's for sure downgrade, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
I think I would rather have Penix back there. Like he's been doing just fine with Penix back there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and then
so yeah, it just kind of feels like this unknown, and yeah, I do fear that he's just kind of like washed just because of, I mean, just like age and injuries and everything just kind of caught up with him. It's not that he's like a bad quarterback, but
he could be now. I mean,
but effectively, yeah, he is now. Even if like mentally he's a good one, but like physically, like his body just hasn't agreed with him, so to speak.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that comes back. And yeah, again, Mooney's been so bad that I'm almost just like, dude, like this, like just probability regression alone, he has to catch a touchdown or something. He has to do something.
I wouldn't be shocked if he flashed a little something when we've kind of written him off. But I feel like it's more likely that maybe he gets healthy in the off season and then he's like, he's like a fantasy zombie next year. It's like, oh yeah, remember Darnell Mooney? I guess he's good again now. So, and then we have let's see, Blurpy in the chat. I'm pretty sure that's a new name. Welcome to the channel. He says traded Rice, Debo, and Mark Andrews for Kyren Williams and Justin Jefferson, and he says that it's a full PPR redraft league. And he says league mates got mad at it, but I feel like it's not that bad except for the name value. So I assume that's some kind of trade calculator. So redraft, full PPR. Which side do you like better there, Blake? Rico Dowdle, Deebo Samuel, and Mark Andrews, or Kyren Williams and Justin Jefferson?
Right as I was reading it, I'm like, uh-oh, he traded away Rico. This isn't going to be good, Right. I don't know that people really respected Rico. Dude, Genuinely, Rico's probably a better rest of season play than Justin Jefferson. It's unless McCarthy takes a leap that has not been. It doesn't look like that's very likely right now for the rest of the season. For what that's worth, Rico's just a better play. I think he's actually projected finally on these like sleeper platforms and stuff like that. But he's been 23, by the way, 23 full PPR points. Actually, more than 23, 20.3 point something points per game. In the games that he started, and in one of those games where he started, actually Hubbard had a lot of touches. So I get why people would think like off name value. You're absolutely right. That's why they would say it. I don't think it's like that crazy. I would still say I would probably prefer Kyren and Jefferson, just because I think Kyron's underrated. He keeps falling in the end zone.
I mean, he's been super consistent, and I mean, there's probably not a huge difference between Kyren Williams and Rico Dowdle. So then it's just kind of like, do you want Justin Jefferson or do you want the pair of Mark Andrews and Deebo Samuel? And I think at that point, I'll just roll the dice on Jefferson.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, again, it's not guaranteed Rico will be better than him. I do think Rico projects better rest of the season at this very second. I do think he's the best.
Yeah, so I guess the other way you look at it is, if you say, okay, Rico's a little better than Jefferson, but then you could look at, okay, do you want Kyren Williams or do you want the pair of Deebo or Mark Andrews? So, it's probably a fairer deal than you would, think based on name brand value when you first glance at it. But I think I would at least slightly lean toward the Kyren and Justin Jefferson side. So, good trade.
Yeah, no, good trade. And, I think the league wouldn't care as much had maybe it not been Jefferson's name, but be like Nico Collins, who probably Nico could, with the way he's trending, Nico could outscore him rest of the season. I don't think people would be as mad if it was Nico Collins who had a disappointing start.
I feel like so much is based on, in terms of league outrage over trades and, that was, you fleeced them, it was so one-sided, so much of that is just based on how it looks. And how it looks is so contingent upon just the name brand value, how it looks on the screen,
and what these guys have scored, what these guys scored 4 years ago, how their 2022 box scores looked against each other, you know what I mean? No, we're playing in right now. I mean, we agree. We would rather have the Jefferson side, but it's
pretty close. I really don't think it's that egregious of a trade. And, if the other manager needed some depth, I don't think that's a horrible trade to make.
What I would say is if we knew Jefferson was going to be on the pace he's been of 14 points per game or whatever, well, then I would actually say there's maybe a really good chance I would want Rico, because I do think he's the best player in the deal if a miracle doesn't happen here with Jefferson.
Yeah, he might. Honestly, he might be. Yeah,
and we normally like the best player in the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been trading for Rico Dowdle I mean, I don't say left and right, but I mean, I think I've acquired like 3 shares of him in the past few weeks. So I've kind of been like all in on Rico Dottle. I'm pretty much just trying to get him like everywhere I can. And thankfully, like the great thing about Rico Dottle is because he doesn't have that name brand value, he's not like too impossible to acquire, especially from like if a rebuilder owns Rico Dottle, like you pretty much know you're going to be able to get him without sending a first. So I just sent Alec Pierce in a late second and I got, and there's, Dynasty, and I got Rico Dottle in an early fourth. So, I mean, I was happy with that. And I think it's a fair trade. I mean, I think Alec Pierce is a really hot name right now for whether you're contending or rebuilding. I think he's a good player just to trade for. And he gets a late second as a rebuilder. So I truly feel like that was a win-win deal.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like the, 100% agree. By the way, I just got distracted because me and Coop made a deal in Listener League. Well,
oh, nice.
While you were talking there.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Very nice.
Yeah, because my original deal, I was asking for 27, third, and fourth for Keenan Allen. I have no idea what Keenan Allen's worth, and I know Hawk needs some help or whatever. So if you counter back with a third, I'd probably just take it, and I don't need Keenan Allen that much. And then he countered with Myers back, and I'm like, I don't know, I'd rather have Jacoby Myers. I swapped Myers with the other Jacksonville receiver who I've been really liking recently, Parker Washington. And so we just got a 2-for-2 done, Keenan Allen.
Okay, yeah. So you send away Keenan Allen and Parker Washington. You get a third and a fourth. Yeah, seems solid. Yeah. I like it. I mean, I can see that making sense for both sides.
Not even this year, 27. I basically just have a lot of players I can kind of throw in my lineup. So a deal like that made sense if I get some picks.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, honestly, like when I have a lot of depth that I'm just looking to shed and cash out on, especially if I already have a lot of picks, like I don't get too picky about whether it's like, the most, the year that's coming up, being 26, or if it's like the following year. Now, if we were talking 28, like, okay, that might draw the line there, obviously. But yeah, I don't blame you for being kind of lax about like, hey, yeah, I'll take 27 picks. Like you're just trying to cash out.
Yeah, no, exactly. And by the way, Blurpy was saying about his league there. He said he didn't think it was beatable. I would definitely not say that's. Here's the thing. I would say
no.
Again, I don't think anything is like beatable unless it's like
it just has to be so obvious that like there's no other possible conclusion other than this is collusion clearly. But that's nowhere close to it because like if you really take a step back and look at what these players are doing this season and what they project rest of the year, like it's a pretty fair trade. I mean, so you just can't veto something on name value. I mean, that's just like the dumbest thing ever.
No, yeah, exactly. And he said the trade obviously, it still went through. And I was going to say he actually I was like, maybe the guy that is actually valuing Mark Andrews because he can get in the end zone. By the way, he's been
a touchdown machine lately, and then like even Debo is kind of heated back up. So like, I mean, you could really tell yourself that the other side's better. I'm not saying I believe that, but like, the trade could really go either way in terms of how it works out.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if the guy needs tight end help too, like. Sure. It doesn't look good on paper. It doesn't mean it's a bad trade.
Like honestly, like Debo might have the same points per game as Jefferson. We could argue that we like Dottle maybe slightly more than Kyren, even though I think it's like really close. And then you just get a free Mark Andrews. So yeah, like if you needed tight end help, like I think that's a solid trade.
No, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, things should not be getting beatable. And he said he had Trey McBride, so didn't need a great tight end. Oh, that's a great tight end now. And right now, I got him in a redraft league, and it's been unstoppable. My God.
Yeah.
I just picked up Brissett to stack with him because I lost Daniels.
Oh, love it. That's awesome.
I'm like, hopefully the things don't just go back to how they should with Brissett.
I traded McBride in my redraft league, as you know, Blake, and immediately after I traded him, what happens? Marv, gets appendicitis. Yeah. And actually, first Kyler goes on IR, which was obviously great for McBride's value with how hot Brissett has been and the connection they have. And then on top of that, Marv gets appendicitis. So it's just been like everything that could possibly go right for McBride has happened since then. So that's been brutal. But thankfully, I got Josh Allen in the deal, and his 6 touchdowns this past week definitely eased the pain a bit.
He had 6.
Yeah, 3 rushing, 3 passing.
Jeez, I knew it was a good game. I didn't actually look at what he did.
Yeah, It was a classic like Josh Allen 50 burger.
Yeah,
pretty much.
he helped us out in the
And
league
on your
that we
torrent.
in our league we got him. We finally were like the top scorer this week. We've been like the most mid
Oh, and
team
Walter
ever.
White's lad.
Yeah, our team's been banged up, and we've been
Yeah.
and things have been mid since week one, and maybe we're getting Benson back and all the and whatever and these other names. And
We have Sean Tucker. That's another name we didn't even mention.
Tucker.
Like he put up his annual like break fantasy game.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's another name. So yeah, it really was kind of like a wild week. I mean, I don't know, like what are like your biggest takeaways in terms of like what might continue for at least another week or potentially rest of season? Like what of like the big performances or even like disappointing performances, like do you think will like most continue, going forward to some degree? Like, are you buying Michael Wilson? Are you
I was
buying
gonna say like the Cardinal
Are you
stuff.
buying Bryce Young? Like, what are you buying?
I was gonna say like honestly, the way I'm treating the Cardinal stuff, I know Marv will be back, so that like, dude, Michael Wilson could be nothing. But like, if you're in a redraft league and he was on the waiver wire, like I hope you picked him just to make sure that Michael Wilson is not like some dude, because dudes, just normal average players and good players don't just like put up 15 catches. He's like literally on a list of all-time reception leaders now. He's not number one, but he's like a number 15 or something all time
for a single game.
all time in a single game. Like that is how insane of a game he just had it. Was Marv's already ruled out for week 12. His status is going to be probably questionable for week 13, and Brissett's just been on fire. I don't want to buy it, but like at this point, I'd be crazy not to like believe it until it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, it's a great matchup this week, and the Jags are really bad against outside receivers. Yeah. So I think you got to fire him up this week. Marv has already been ruled out. By the way, we have Z Smitty in the chat. Good to see you. He says, I'm in a 10-man and sitting in first place in a close league right now. I was just offered Drake London for Chase Brown. Would you do it? I'll drop my team below. I mean, I don't even think I need to look at your team. Like, I'm worried about London rest of season. I mean, I don't think we've had a lot of like concrete news about the exact timeline, but just based on the things I'm hearing, like I'm getting really nervous because this is that time of year where an injury that like, sidelines you a few weeks, like all of a sudden it ends up being like season ending. Look at like what just happened to Penix. London's quarterback. So now even if he isn't out for the season, he's going to have Cousins with his noodle arm, throwing him the football. So like, I'm very nervous about London. Like, I mean, honestly, for any league I own London, I'm just going to kind of assume that he's out for the rest of the season. And if I'm wrong, then, hey, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But what do you think, Blake?
I don't think he's out for the rest of the season. I think he could literally be back. Like, potentially he could be back next week. But it is the same injury that Bowers and I believe Pearsall have had. So I am concerned about him. Like, absolutely. And then Kirk Cousins. Yeah. So the thing is, he'll be back. Like, I'm pretty certain of that. And probably before the fantasy playoffs. But the thing is like, is he going to be Drake London? And also, if you Drake London with Kirk Cousins, so
exactly. Yeah.
Honestly, like we just got news that Joe Burrow's coming back in the next 21 days.
Yeah, and Chase Brown is continuing to stay hot. And dude, his target stayed high as well. Because remember, I was saying that I was kind of thinking that would continue. And I forget the exact number, but I want to say at least got like 8+ targets.
Yeah, and you know why that's happening? Why the route participation? I just realized this because Pirine was out, and I had no idea, or maybe.
I guess we kind of forgot about that. Yeah.
So he did take he basically just took he took everything. He took out all.
Yeah, but I mean, Pirine does have a high ankle sprain, and he is like a 30-year-old running back. So could Pirine be back soon, and could that factor negatively impact Chase Brown? Sure, but like I'm not going to worry too much about it.
I would worry about it because like that's been how he's getting a lot of his fantasy points. But the thing is like to counteract that, he has Joe Burrow coming back
exactly
to then elevate the offense even more.
Yeah, and then think about what Chase Brown was last year with Burrow.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm not like that worried about. Yeah. It's been good to see that Chase Brown. So like honestly, the one thing I'm seeing he does have really strong running backs on this team, but as long as you could start all 4 of your running backs, Z Smitty, I'd probably be good to just keep Chase Brown. He already has Chase Brown. That's right on the deal. And then if you can just start like CD and Rome, like, I would probably prefer to keep the player that's not hurt and the player that's heating up right now.
Because here's the thing. His running backs are Bijan, who we're at least a tiny bit concerned about with the impact of London missing a few games, and more importantly, like Cousins being in there, and then Jacobs, who could potentially miss a game or two, especially with the Packers playing the Lions on Thanksgiving. So if Jacobs misses 1 game, it could easily turn into 2 games because it's the short turnaround the following week on Thanksgiving. So yeah, I'm just keeping Chase Brown personally.
And he also says he was offered Javonte Williams for Chase Brown. And see I actually made that dynasty trade earlier, so I'm gonna be like, oh, of course Javonte Williams. But what I would say is, I might be a really good time to get Javonte Williams, man. Like he's been insane. I don't know his schedule coming up. Maybe I should pull that up just to make sure it's not awful. But like Javonte Williams has been so much better than every time I check. He's so much better than I actually realized. Like, I mean, it's been insane.
I wouldn't hate that. I mean, like I'd have to look at Javonte's game log to know exactly how good he's been, but I'm assuming he's pretty much been like, a stud or close to it.
Yeah, I mean RB10 in points per game. I mean we're looking at exact same as Kyron for points per game as well. I mean the workload is just insane with him.
Yeah, so I mean I wouldn't hate that. I mean I don't know. It kind of feels like a bit lateral, a bit just kind of personal preference. Like if you feel better about Javonte, or you like the Cowboys offense better, or you don't think Burrow is going to stay healthy. I mean, whatever your reason is, like I think that's a perfectly fine move to make. I mean, it's a 1-for-1 same position swap, so I think it's kind of personal preference there. I don't think there's like an obvious right answer.
Yeah, well, the way that things are trending, Burrow back, Chase Brown's been better. I would say I would probably just prefer rolling with Javonte Williams because, like, again, these touchdowns have been going rolling. It's still been an issue. Again, Burrow can help him. Javonte Williams has been insane. He's touching the ball like 25 times a game. And then pre-run's coming back. So I would prefer Javonte Williams. But if someone, I could easily see half the people in the world taking Chase Brown over him. I would slightly lean the Javonte Williams side.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be good with that. Z Smitty also says, being in first, my main focus right now is playoff schedules, which for me are week 16 and 17. I mean, I know it's tempting to look at playoff schedules, and it's definitely like a factor I consider. But I think this week was a great reminder that, kind of what I always say about like matchups really don't matter that much. Or, I mean, that's an exaggeration, but like I think they matter a lot less than we often make them out to be. And we just saw so many big performances in like what were supposed to be terrible matchups, whether it was, Bryce Young and Ted against that, Falcons pass defense, or Kenneth Walker against the Rams run defense. I mean, in both cases, it was like the worst possible matchup for fantasy for that position. And they each had like their best games of the season or best game in a while. So I think it is a reminder of that.
They both have very good. Chase Brown gets Miami week 16. But the Chargers have been, I believe, pretty terrible against running backs, and Javonte gets them. They're pretty even. I would say if you have Miami on your schedule, though, you have a better schedule. That would be Chase Brown. Then he gets Arizona week 17.
And then Z Smitty also said I'm waiting for Drake May to get healthy, but very concerned about what he might be with Kirk. Yeah, referring to London. Yeah, I'd be concerned as well. And then, hey, we got Todd's Real Lawn in the chat. Says, what's up, guys? Good to see you.
Good to see you, Todd.
And Todd says, can anyone honestly close their eyes and see the playoffs without the KC Chiefs this year? If they lose this week, and he puts in parentheses, they won't, it's over for them. Yes or no? My God, that's crazy.
You know what's so funny? This has probably been the most detached year I've ever been from like what's actually happening. And
oh my God.
Like so I have not looked at the standings. Like I know the general standings, how teams are doing. Right. I've seen the graphics. I see their records when I'm watching the games. I have like not cared about anything other than Vikings being a fan. Like I don't care really about what the hell's happening and who's winning divisions and stuff. That's crazy. Are they actually that bad? I knew they had a terrible start.
Yeah, I mean I'd heard a bit about that, but it's so funny you say that. I think when you join enough fantasy leagues, especially dynasty leagues, you don't even have like time to follow the standings. You're just like you're so in the weeds with managing your teams and your brain's just thinking all like fantasy and dynasty and everything like that. It's just like you almost like forget there's like the real NFL and everything like that. Like I mean, of course, once like the real NFL playoffs start, and fantasy's over, like then you'll start to like care more about that. But I so agree with you, especially being in more leagues this year than ever. Like that's so true for me as well.
I also used to watch like every single game highlight and stuff. Like before I started watching Red Zone and things. I don't do that anymore. Like if I'm interested, but I don't like. It's pretty funny. Like, I have
hard to find time. I mean, I mean, I wish it wasn't the case, but there's only so much time that it gets divided up, and but let's see. Going back to the chat here, Todd says, Do I play Mills for Houston against my Bills or Hair Boy Trevor Lawrence against Arizona? My God. I mean, yeah, that just shows you how bad it's been for Trevor Lawrence. If you're, thinking about playing Davis Mills, who's actually been,
he's been the
pretty
QB
solid.
one and QB9 in his 2 starts. Man,
Wow.
that is so difficult. I feel like I don't even want to answer that question, Todd, and that's why you're asking it, because the answer feels like it should be Davis Mills, but
That matchup on a Thursday.
yeah, is Thursday. Yeah, man, I hate those primetime games. I've been trying to stay away from them in recent, especially when it's a guy like Davis Mills. Man,
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, though, I mean, hopefully he would get Brian Thomas back. I believe he should return. Arizona feels like a pretty good matchup, though.
Yeah, it feels pretty solid. Yeah, I think I'm gonna lean Trevor Lawrence, and like that feels so gross to say because I'm like the biggest like anti Trevor Lawrence guy these days. It seems like, um, but yeah, if there's no one better on waivers, I mean, I'm assuming Jacoby Brissett is long gone on waivers. I'm trying to think of anyone else that might be out there. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't play like Tyrod Taylor or anyone like that. So yeah, I'd probably just play Trevor Lawrence, hope for the best.
The matchups at least make it feel a bit better, and he doesn't play on Thursday, whereas Mills
Yeah.
does. I mean, those Thursday games, dude, have been.
Yeah. I'll take my chances on the non-Thursday game. I mean, if it was Trevor Lawrence on Thursday and Davis Mills on Sunday, I might reverse it.
I was going to say that. I was like, I think I would prefer Mills if it was flipped. Like, seriously. I mean, it clearly makes a difference with game planning and being prepared. And people are just banged up throughout the week, right? There might not be 100%. So,
Yeah. I would go with Trevor Lawrence, even though it probably doesn't feel great. We also have SMP in the chat. I think does that sound kind of familiar? I feel like I don't know.
Maybe for you. Maybe
there's a new name. Hey, welcome to the channel. If not, but otherwise, good to have you back. And he says, would you trade away Ibuka for 1, Rome, Diggs 2? I'm confused with these numbers. Make sense of this?
Okay, so these are different trades. So Rome and Diggs.
Okay, for either Rome or Rome/Diggs. Does that mean both of them?
I think Rome and Diggs.
Okay, so would you trade Ibuka for Rome and Diggs, or would you trade him for Rome and AJ Brown?
And then Rome and AJ Brown again.
Okay.
Maybe he meant to say someone else and he accidentally clicked AJ.
So basically, would you trade Ibuka for like 2 receivers? One of the receivers is Rome, and then the other receiver could be either Stefon Diggs or AJ Brown. Would you make any of those moves if you owned Ibuka?
That's super interesting. Man.
Assuming this is redraft.
Like, honestly, because Ibuka's he's slowed down, but the targets have been there, so I don't really know what's been going on there. I'm not like worried about him at all. I would be like, I don't want to like. I know we should probably stay away from AJ Brown. They do have like the best remaining schedule for receivers the rest of the season.
Yeah,
I think he did get 11 targets still in that Lions game.
Hey, by the way, like I don't know if I can victory lap or come on here and say I was wrong about AJ Brown. Maybe somewhere in between, but I feel like I got the spirit of my prediction right because I said
something. Yeah, I mean, if he had scored a touchdown.
Oh, he had scored. Yeah, right. Exactly.
12 or.
But just the fact that, like, in the first half, he got 8 targets, ended up with 11, which is, pretty awesome target share to get there. I feel like I was at least right that the attempt was at least there to get A.J. Brown going in this game. So
no, it was.
Maybe it wasn't really successful, but they tried their damnedest. I mean, it was a windy game.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw how much that impacted a lot of facets of the game, not just the passing game, but the kicking game, of course, as the Lions found out. But honestly, I mean, if it wasn't for the extreme wind in that game, I mean, with 11 targets, he may have even gotten more targets if it wasn't for the wind. I feel like it probably would have been a pretty massive game for A.J. Brown.
No, yeah, 100%. Like, the wind will play big weather, and the targets were there. They were trying to get him involved. What I would say is if I'm actually in this situation, SMP, you can, you're asking, maybe you wanted to get nudged in some certain way. Ibuka has felt like the best player in the deal, but what I would say is, especially if I'm hurting at all, I actually want to take my chances on Rome and AJ Brown. I'd be pretty happy as long as it's 2 for 1.
Yeah.
I'm not guaranteeing that works out, but dude, if AJ Brown can actually catch some fire here, again, really, really good schedule coming up, like really good, and the best, and Rome could just be what Ibuka's doing. I mean, who's to say that Ibuka will be better than Rome the rest of the season? I mean, I would like him a bit more, but
Yeah, and I think my take on the trade is I think I agree with you, Blake. Because yeah, I mean, Ibuka's probably the best player in the deal, but I don't think it's obvious, especially considering how boom or bust he's been. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if he heated up again and was like red hot down the stretch and won people some leagues. But I mean, AJ Brown could do the same.
Yep.
Roma Dunze could do the same. So I think I'd rather just take the two shots. So I think I agree with you on that. And I think I would only take the Ibuka side if I was just like so loaded with depth that I was just looking for like any small upgrade and or I owned Baker Mayfield and wanted the stack. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I'd take the two receivers there.
And he just listed his. It sounds like he's gonna be in the playoffs, so it's not even like there's like any kind of I don't. We don't know what kind of care about bye weeks or even really what might be happening at this very moment.
Mm-hmm.
He listed his team, and honestly, just give me two receivers over. It's Chase, and then it's Ibuka, of course, and then it's Mooney and Keenan Allen and God.
Yeah, especially with even more so now with Chase being suspended. You really don't want to have to rely on Mooney. I mean, Keenan Allen's kind of week to week, depending on the matchup, probably more so than most receivers, like we were talking about earlier. Godwin, who the heck knows? So yeah, I'll definitely take the two receivers there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you want AJ Brown at least slightly over Diggs. Although I think both should be pretty good receivers rest of the season.
Yeah, this is literally three receivers that any single one of them could be the best. And
sure.
It's like it's literally just probability. Like it's like the Monty Hall problem. It's like, do you want the first door you pick, which is Ibuka, or do you want to swap that? Here's the thing, do you want to swap that, and they'll give you whatever. You get to pick the other door, but they eliminate the door that hasn't. That there's nothing behind it. So now you have a 66% chance of getting the right thing. That's how I feel about this deal. You are literally, there's even three assets. I feel like you have, the odds are in your favor to have the one that actually matters. And maybe there's always possible that both of them matter.
Yeah, I mean, you might end up with the best player in the deal, ironically. You might even end up with the two best receivers in the like in a dream scenario. But like it could happen. It's in the range of outcomes. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say if Ibuka is just better and you take the deal, so be it. Like you remain a probability. That's how I would prefer to play it. They're all talented receivers. I hope that helps.
Yeah, he says, sorry for being complicated. Hey, no worries. Like, we're here to help tackle the difficult questions. So, yeah, appreciate the question. We also got Seb in the chat. He says, how far apart is May from Lamar? Like, what would the Lamar owner need to add for May? Yeah, so we were talking about this in the Listener League chat earlier. It seemed like most people were saying that Drake May probably has more value than Lamar. Now, to be clear, I feel like most people were answering that in terms of like not necessarily which quarterback they would prefer, but just like
what others would
generally be perceived, like who would generally be considered to have more value. And so most people answered May, myself included. First of all, Blake, do you agree with that? And what do you think the difference is exactly?
I think at this very second, I just think when a Drake May comes out, he's going to be like overdrafted no matter what you think. And I think he probably could be the number one pick right now. So I think I would put him above everyone right now. So I do agree. But if I had to pick for myself, I probably just want Lamar, like he's Lamar. Like
yeah, so basically, I mean, if you knew May was worth more, you might draft him over Lamar, but then you would like try to trade him for Lamar plus and just take like anything on top. Yeah,
exactly. I would only want him because other people value him so much.
Exactly.
So that funny kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it was like a paradox of like I don't want.
But you are saying if you were like stuck with one for like the next few years, which in most cases you wouldn't be stuck, but if you were, you'd rather be stuck with Lamar.
I would just rather be stuck with Lamar because I've lived through the C.J. Stroud. I've lived through so many of these quarterbacks. And I do think that May has a good chance because he does run a lot and everything. But I would just prefer Lamar. We know he's Lamar. It's not like he's like 30. He's still, 28. And he's a good passer now, too. So that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's been a little frustrating owning him because, he's been banged up and he's had some disappointing games, but he's got a great schedule down the stretch. He's due to catch fire anytime now, I feel like, as long as he stays healthy. Yep. I do think Lamar's just a great buy in general, either redraft or dynasty. But yeah, in terms of like what the difference is, it's hard to say exactly. I think it's just kind of like just anything you can squeeze out. I would probably take
literally anything.
Yeah. Like anything. Yeah. A third, a couple fourths, like just anything that you feel like you can justify it. I feel like is acceptable.
Yeah. Hopefully it's like, if you can get something, hopefully it's better than.
Oh yeah. If you can get a second, like that's a smash. If you can get like, even if you could like buy low on a, a Tootin because he's got banged up, or someone coming off a bad game.
I would be
Brown.
pumped if I could like get Tootin and send a third, something like that too. That's gonna be a creative way. But by the way, I do have to get going here for curling, so we do gotta end it right now. But I'll wrap it up here.
Yeah. We didn't want to go. We have much more than an hour today. So, but yeah, we will be back on Saturday. And who knows? I mean, we haven't done a spontaneous stream in a while, so we might do that at any given time. So definitely hit the notification bell. Make sure you drop us a like on your way out. If you want to support us, just make sure you're subscribed. Really helps out a lot as we try to grow the channel. Anything else you want to say before we head out here?
Nope, that covers it all.
All right.
Stream and
Good
we'll
deal.
see you on,
all right.